In your Quantum Smart One Cloud environment, you can start the Smart Console in a web browser, and of course you can have API access to your environment, and you see the context ID being available here in this menu. For this test, we created an administrator having the API key authentication method and a dedicated profile expiring in May. The profile we configured has no access to any gateway functionality, limited functionalities on the access security policy. Note, no possibility to install policy, no possibility to install threat prevention policy. These settings are required to modify objects, no logging, and only API login is possible. This is the threat prevention policy that is part of the Quantum Network Policy package. And you see we are using source destination methodology to describe the rule, and we are using the optimized profile. I'll start defining the variables. Now I'm performing a logon to the API. I take the result into this API session file. You see the session has a timeout of 10 minutes, and this is the session ID. I am now extracting the session ID into a dedicated ID file, and I'm creating an environment variable for this ID based on the content of this file. To keep auditing clear, I defined a JSON file with a session description, and I apply this session description now to the management session. I can now define details for a host that I want to add. I'm now adding this host. Now I'm checking the policy package that I have. I now look at the content of my JSON helper file, show package. This is the file that I'm using to see the package using the API. I'm using now this curl command to see the content of the policy package. I captured information from the previous command, such as the name of the threat prevention policy, and I'm using this information now to see the threat prevention rule base. From the previous step, I understood that the optimized profile is used, so I now get a list of all profiles that are available, and I see that there is a profile available called parameter lab. The next JSON helper file that I'm going to use is defining that the parameter lab should be used as an action, and I want to add a destination, my dedicated lab server. We see the rule is now logged in the user interface of Smart Console. If I now publish the session, you see the log has been removed. I see the parameter lab profile is now active for traffic going to this server. And if I look for host number 5, we can see we have a host number 5 with the IP address we defined. So now I can perform a logout. And we don't see any session active anymore.